Dr. Lina, kindly stop sharing. We have to start now. Namaste. Good afternoon to everyone. I, Dr. Madhu Rani, Assistant Professor in Department of Botany, Deshbandhu College, extend a hearty and warm welcome in the third event organized jointly by Deshbandhu College, University of Delhi, and Pettigrew College, Manipur University, under the flagship of Vidya Vistar scheme. The Vidya Vistar scheme is based on the principle of mutual respect, cooperation, and sharing between two colleges as equal partners. We aspire to mentor each other by exchanging academic resources available with us. We wish to share not only our knowledge, but also our cultures. This collaborative webinar is one such event in the concatenation of this scheme. On behalf of Vidya Vistar scheme team at Deshbandhu College and Pettigrew College, I humbly welcome our invited speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Yanglem Sarachandra Khuman, Assistant Professor, School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, IGNOU, New Delhi. Our respected Principal, Deshbandhu College, Professor Rajiv Agarwal sir. Respected Principal, Pettigrew College, Shri Sarachandra sir. Respected Vice Principal, Deshbandhu College, Professor Kamal Kumar Gupta sir. Convener for V2S from Deshbandhu College, Dr. Moses and Dr. Parul Singh. Convener for V2S from Pettigrew College, Shri Kafung Singh and Dr. Gaikwanglung Gaumei. Esteemed faculty members joining us today from Deshbandhu College, Pettigrew College, and other institutions, and our prized student participants from Deshbandhu College, Pettigrew College, and different other colleges. COVID-19 pandemic forced to shut down all the educational institutions across the country. The technology, however, has given us a way to continue our teaching and learning process. To begin with, we ask for forgiveness for any technical glitch that could happen during the program and request all the participants to endure with us. I would like to take this opportunity to extend our warm wishes to the beautiful state of Manipur on its statehood day today. On January 21st, in the year 1972, Manipur, Meghalaya, and Tripura became full-fledged states under the Northeastern Region Reorganization Act of 1971. We wish the incredible state of vivid culture, joy, prosperity, and progress in the years ahead. We at Deshbandhu College feel strong and powerful under the leadership of our dynamic, compassionate, dedicated principal, Professor Rajiv Agrawal sir, the driving force behind the Deshbandhu team. Due to prior commitments, sir could not join us today, and he conveyed his best wishes, blessings, and gratitude to all the participants. Every event is a result of unified teamwork under the guidance of instrumental leaders. We feel gratified to be part of such an elite environment where we are always encouraged and uh, to succeed by our compassionate Vice Principal, Professor Kamal Kumar Gupta sir. It is a matter of great privilege for me to invite sir to address the gathering. Over to you, Kamal sir.
Thank you, Madhu. Good afternoon, Category College. Good afternoon, Deshbandhu College. It's really a matter of privilege for me to be part of this event. And I have all my appreciation to the Vidya Vistar collaborative work that in a short span of time, this is the third event where both the colleges are with full zeal are showing that exchange of the education thoughts, exchange of the ideas. On my own behalf, at the same time, on the behalf of Deshbandhu College, I welcome today's speaker, Dr. Yanglam Sarachandra, who is Assistant Professor at School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary, IGNOU. My welcome to our dynamic principal, Professor Rajiv Agrawal, who is always a motivating force and a visionary for Deshbandhu College and the key person behind the Vidya Vistar scheme under the guidance of Delhi University. My welcome to Mr. Sarachandra, Principal of Category College, conveners of the program, Dr. Moses and Dr. Parul, Dr. Madhu, Dr. Aparna, and all the members who are the force behind this fantastic event in the form of a talk. I extend welcome to all the participants, students of Deshbandhu College, Category College, and all the ladies and gentlemen, my senior colleagues, everyone present in this event. The topic for the talk for today is really very, very interesting and fascinating, pertaining to the sustainable development. And we have an expert on the sustainable development. I want to mention only a couple of points. First of all, with the beginning of civilization, man and environment were living in a harmony. And at the same time, man was looking for the environment, environment was giving good to the man. But with increase in demand, increased population, increased requirement, urbanization, there were a burden on the environment. And environment was depleting. But it was not only environment, the man also had to pay the price for this. And they were complete imbalance. Then the question arises, whom to sacrifice? Is that environment? If we sacrifice environment, ultimately we are sacrificing our Mother Earth. Or shall we compromise with the interest of human being development? We already have moved to an extent that probably there was no way to see back. We cannot compromise with the development also. So that was really very, very tricky situation to save the development or to save the environment. And then it was the idea of sustainable development emerged. That whatever the development we do, we look the environment also there. What are the development we do? We should see the sustainable approach to this development. There were many more aspects of the development. They concern from country to country, different groups within the country. They were rich, they were poor, they were developed countries, they were developing countries, they were underdeveloped countries. And the requirement at each level was different. That's why I was just looking the title that 2013, the United Nations has suggested in 2015 that what shall be the mode, what shall be the goal of sustainable development in 2013. And we are all eager to hear the expert opinions of our today's speaker, Dr. Yanglam Sarachandra. So I know it's going to be very, very fantastic and very interesting, very yielding for all the audience, all the teachers, humanities, science, and everyone, because the topic is so interesting. And our speaker himself is a person from interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary sciences. So it's going to be a fantastic. Thank you, Madhu. I think we are all eager to hear our speaker, and we should go ahead with the program. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. I would now request all the participants to please mute their mic.
You are also muted, Vedam. Dr. Madhu, you are also muted.
These are some little perks with this technology. We have to be in accordance with it. So let's move on. Our team at Deshbandhu College is leading our college towards excellence and achieving milestones in every field in the leadership of our hardworking and dedicated coordinator of IQAC, Dr. Aditya sir. Dr. Aditya Saxena, sir, your vision and your untiring passion is a great motivation for all of us. I would now like to take this opportunity to invite you to bless the audience and to address the gathering. Aditya sir. Sir, are you able? I think you are not able to unmute yourself. Dr. Lina, kindly unmute Aditya sir.
Ma'am, he is the co-host, so he will be able to do.
Okay. I think there is some glitch at sir's end, so we should continue. I will call sir later.
No, I think actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir is available now. Okay.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Deshbandhu College, first of all, I would like to extend a very warm welcome on this winter afternoon to our esteemed and very distinguished speaker for the day, Dr. Yanglem Sarachandra Kuman, who's the Assistant Professor at School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University, and who is also the Program Coordinator for PGDSS and the Nodal Officer for who's also the Program Coordinator for PGDSS and the Nodal Officer for Swayam Prabha channel. And I would also like to extend my very warm welcome to our chief patron, who's the chairman of our governing body, Sri R.N. Vats. He's the senior advocate in Supreme Court. Then I would also like to extend my warm welcome to our two patrons, Professor Rajiv Agrawal, Principal Deshbandhu College, and Professor Mr. K.A.S. Shoringsheng, Principal Pettigrew College, the conveners for the Vidya Vistar scheme from Deshbandhu College, Dr. Moses and Dr. Parul Singh, and the conveners for the Vidya Vistar scheme from Pettigrew College, that is Mr. M. Kapunching and Dr. Gai Kwangling Magoy. Then the science coordinators for the Vidya Vistar scheme, Dr. Bela Bhatia and Dr. Aparna Shekhar, and the event coordinators, Dr. Madhu and Dr. Maku. It's indeed a great pleasure that in this series of events that we are organizing for the Vidya Vistar scheme, we have chosen this very current and relevant topic on the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations has set for all of us. And in fact, it's in the fitness of things that we should be discussing them on such platforms, because India is right now at the threshold of leaping forward or surging forward in terms of development. But to ensure that this development does not come at the cost of our environment, and that we do not sacrifice our environment to achieve these developmental goals, the sustainable word becomes very, very important. And I'm really happy and I'm grateful to Dr. Yanglem Sarachandra that he has consented to be the speaker for the day and enlighten on all this topic. And I hope that by his lecture, we will all be greatly benefited. So with these words, thank you, Dr. Madhu, and back to you.
Rightly said, sir. Thank you so much for your encouraging words. Whenever we feel stressed, many of us impulsively go for a walk or trips to forests, parks, beaches, or sometimes just to the country roads. We feel more at peace when we are connected to nature. Given that fact, it is no surprise that human well being is essentially linked to the environment's health. To live long and healthy lives, we need to deserve unpolluted air to breathe, clean water to drink, and live in places which are free of toxic substances. As the global population grows and we begin to see long term consequences of excessive energy use and industrial growth, we must prevent further damage. It is our job to ensure our future generations they have healthy places to live and to minimize our damage to the Earth's biodiversity ecosystems. We are greatly thrilled and honored by the presence of our invited speaker for today's talk, Dr. Y.S. Kuman, who kindly accepted our invitation to enlighten us about the Sustainable Development Goals. I now request Dr. Maku Morongshing, Assistant Professor in Department of Chemistry at Deshbandhu College, to introduce our chief speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Madhu. On behalf of Deshbandhu College, the University of Delhi and Pettigrew College, Manipur University, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Yanglem Sarachandra Kumang, to the audience. Dr. Sarachandra is currently serving as an assistant professor in School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies at Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. He is also a program coordinator for postgraduate diploma in sustainable studies, MA in sustainable science, and MHRD Swayam course on sustainability science. And he also holds as a position of nodal officers for Swayam Prabha channel number 18. Dr. Sarachandra has obtained his Bachelor of Science degree from prestigious DM College of Science, Manipur University, MSc in Environmental Science from Chaudhary Charan Singh University, Meerut, India. He obtained his PhD from Department of Botany, Delhi University in 2011, and his PhD research topic was on bioenergy modeling the upland village ecosystem. His research area and expertise are in the area of sustainable science, wetland ecology, natural resource management, environmental impact assessment, sustainable development, and local livelihood. Dr. Sarachandra has published numerous papers in various national and international peer-reviewed journals and has a couple of book chapters to his name. He is also a reviewer for various national and international peer-review journals in sustainable and environmental science. He is also a life member of various professional bodies. Just to name a few, he is the life member of Indian Society for Ecological Economics, Delhi, life member of Indian Academy of Social Science, Allahabad. He has actively contributed in online content creations for Swayam course at IGNOU, and one of his video contents titled Tribal and Indigenous Knowledge Systems produced by EMPC IGNOU won a special jury award in competitive category A in 8th National Science Film Festival 2018. We are very, very fortunate and happy to have him in our midst today. And coming towards the theme of our webinar, in order to achieve the sustainable goal that is set by the United Nations members in 2015, we need to act on it and always remind ourselves the importance and necessity of these sustainable goals. And in today's lectures, we are going to have Dr. Sarachandra, who is an expert in this field, who will enlighten us more about these sustainable development goals through his lecture titled Understanding Sustainability Development Goals. I would now kindly request Dr. Sarachandra to take his time and proceed with his lecture.
Over to me, or whether Madhu is going to?
Yes, over to you, sir. You can take
thank
it.
you for that beautiful introduction, Dr. Mohan Singh. And my special thanks to all the Vidya Vistar team of Vidya Vistar team of about the colleges led by principals of the border colleges. Both colleges are prestigious colleges in our own field, and my special for inviting me and sharing my thoughts in this area, which I'm trying to learn from the last 2 decades. Special thanks to Dr. Aparna for her kind consideration and suggesting my name to the team. It's my privilege to be part of this innovative idea of Vidya Vistar. I again thanks the entire team of Vidya Vistar for having such kind of initiative and to bring togetherness across the country. I welcome all the students who are watching or who are attending or watching this session in various electronic media and social networking platform. So when Dr. Aparna called me and we were discussing about what we can do for this session, one thing comes in my mind is that we have to find out something which we are well aware about to this every day, but we never concern about that. And especially looking into this global pandemic of COVID-19, there is a need to have an understanding, some plan of action where we can do together as a global citizen to save from all this that happening, which we can, avoid in the time to come, taking this and experience and planning for the future. That's why I suggested, okay, I will take sustainable development goals. When I use the term understanding, that doesn't mean that we are not understanding the sustainable development goals. But the point I told you, and today also, as you know, when our honorable vice principal, when he talks, everyone is well aware. When IQAC inserts, sir was talking about that, we are aware about it. But the point is that we never bother, we never cares about that. That is the point. So when we are trying to understand the sustainable development goals, which is going to achieve our target is to be achieved by 2030. I would like to start with this quotation, which was said by the United Nations General Secretary in that time, 2001, Mr. Kofi Annan, as we are well aware about that, about him. He's one of the visionary leaders of the globe. Our biggest challenge in this new century is to take an idea that sounds abstract, sustainable development. This shows that we know the term sustainable development, but the point is, and turn it into reality for all the world people. Point is we know the theory, we know the concept, but making it to happen, this is the biggest challenge. This is the biggest question to all of us. So with this, when we are trying to understand this SDGs, first, we know some of the term we need to relook. Doesn't mean that I'm not saying that we do not know all this term, but we need to relook for the sake of discussion today. Sustainability, the term sustainability. Second, the term development, then sustainable development. Then coming to the major topic of the sustainable development goals. You know, this term sustainability, it is a term, it is a simple term, but it is not a new to us. Everybody, each and every individual, we are practicing this, but we never care about it. Say, for example, there are students, young scholars, young students, you know that your parents, our parents, what we are doing when we are schooling, even those, what we are planning for our life, for our children, parents are planning for us. That is the process of sustainability, right? Then development is the term where development is, you know, if you look into technical term, it is the economic term. But if the real meaning is a development means progressing in a positive way, right? So to sustain ourselves, what we're talking is we want to sustain in every field. You try to understand this meaning of sustainability in different level, from your household level to the global level. What we do, development activities to earn money. If you look into the, that micro level, in your micro level, we find out we are trying to earn our livelihood. That is developing something, right? That is to sustain us. So when we are going to sustain us, development happen. When development is happening, then there is imbalances happen. That has degradation. That's why again we are looking towards sustainability. So these two terms are inseparable and it's not new. We are practicing every day, but we never concerned about that. And the next term is sustainable development. When coming to that, as I told you, when we talk about sustainability of this term, what our understanding, we never look what I said to you and what I mentioned about that term of development. No, in that or sustainability in that, we never concern about that. When we are trying to understand that in an academic way, if you ask to someone, what is development? And if to some people, what is development? We will think that our thinking, human thinking, especially underdeveloped country, in our underdeveloped country, the people who are living in the developed country, the people living in most of the developing country, our concept is that developing is a way of modernization which Western countries following. Or economic growth, having a lot of money, having such kind of facility, right? Having facilities, right? But to what extent? We never about that we are having development at the cost of environment. Whether is it going to be, sustained? No. That's why the question of sustainability comes. So when we are trying to implement this progress of development, this sustainability has become a bridge between the process of development and environmental development, that environmental degradation, right? So why there is a number of questions about development is, I told you, when we talk about development, what we need. You look into your day-to-day life. When we talk about development, as I told you, when we talk about sustainability, it is not about your earning money. It is not about having handful of your property. It is not about having your food. It is about the holistic well-being. You need money, you need good health, right? And you need good relation with your family members, with your community members, with surrounding the environment. You need to take care about your environment, plants that are growing in your area, about your agricultural field, about your that land. So that's why we are questioning about this development. What the point is that, when Vice Principal Sir also pointed out when he was addressing this session, that our human civilization, the nation-society interaction was going very smoothly, but suddenly, suddenly, what happened when there is increase in population? The pressure is so much pressure is given to the environment natural resources. Then the imbalances happen between that nature resources we have and the demand we are having. That happen, that degradation. So we need to balance all from all these dimensions. That is why we have the United Nations Global Common Effort was happened since, if we started from 1972 onward, Stockholm Conference, followed by we have World Commission on Environment Development. That this World Commission on Environment Development is the first watershed in this direction of that global common efforts in bringing sustainable development. And as per that WCD report, the sustainable development is defined as the development to meet the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. So the point is, it is not, your development should not be short-term benefit. It should have a long-term vision, right? So when we're trying to follow this particular approach of sustainable development, now we need to look what are the dimensions of sustainable development, what are the challenges. As I told you, population is increasing, pressure is giving to the resources. That doesn't mean that we have to stop the development. We have to understand. So in that process, we find out number of challenges. So we need to understand and find out a better way to cope up all those challenges. That is why we have sustainable development goals, right? So if you look into that definition given by World Commission on Environment Development and our simple understanding of the sustainable development is, when we have nature-society interaction, the society depend on the natural resources, that is environment. And economy has become a medium, right? Economy is a medium. So these natural resources and natural society interaction to the medium of economy needs to be properly balanced, right? So the basic dimension of sustainable development should be these three basic pillars. In addition to that, the problem, whatever happening about environmental degradation, whatever happening about this imbalances in nature-society interaction is that we forget about our moral value. Ethics and the moral value is no more. So we have to look our responsibility, because human is that Homo sapiens with the human. We are the manager of this planet Earth, its resources. We are, not understanding our responsibility or ethics, everything with the coming of this, especially after industrialization. So when we are looking from that dimension, what happened in this whole process of development, we can look those other dimensions as technical dimension, because technology play an important role in degrading the environment on one side. On the other hand, technology play an important role in minimizing the impact and going towards a sustainable way. Then moral dimension, as I told you, legal dimension. Before this formal institution comes, formal legals come, we have informal legal activities, like we have Ban Panchayat, what we're talking about in India. So those informal, unwritten, and that institution play an important role in this balancing the nature-society interaction. If you look in the northeastern part of India, most of the communities, we have our own system of unwritten social norms that is called legal dimension. We forget about it, right? So the same way we have political dimension. So all this needs to be understood from a holistic way to look for a sustainable development goals, or to achieve the sustainable development goals by 2030. When it comes into challenges, when we are going to achieve the sustainable development, as told you, I will not go in detail, but if you could look into that, it is because of the population growth and because of what are its implications? We know that pressure is so much given. When increasing in population happen, then resources pressure given more on the resources, then we are trying to have it, demand is increasing in different way. That has direct impact to the natural environment. And capitalistic economic system, the way we are having economic system, that's capitalistic economic system, right? Then the nature of development. In the name of development, we never care about that other dimension, especially environmental dimension, ecological dimension. In the name of the infrastructure development, we don't care about the importance of forest, importance of river, how to develop those kind of approaches, what kind of infrastructures needs to be developed to maintain the integrity of those landscape. So this kind of, then coming to that, whatever activities we have done, we have another consequences upon us to the entire system, that climate change. Then coming to the challenges as an obstacles at individual level. Whatever happening, all this population growth is because of what? Because of human characteristic. We are pure impatience. We want everything in 5 minutes. We want everything in 10 years. So we do never care about the other species. We do not care about the ethical value, the role of other species. Then selfishness. You can look selfishness at different scale among your members of your family, among your community. Then coming into the global context, what developed country wants, what developing country wants. That's why we have North-South conflicts. And uncertainty. We always say that if I do this work for the sake of conserving the environment, we don't know what will happen after 5 years or 10 years. Very uncertain, we should not do that. Limited analytical capacity. These are some of the human behavior, human characteristic, which become an obstacles to implement those plan of action of sustainable development, right? So the point is that we need to understand individual commitments, motivation, and a goal. Then only we'll be able to achieve our dream of sustainability. So the crucial challenge is, is Kofi Annan says, Mr. Kofi Annan, that UN Secretary General in 2001 says that to get most of the people's world thinking about the sustainability, that is very much important. From this point of view, I take that opportunity to share my views on achieving sustainable development goals in this particular Vidya Vistar scheme of body college. Then we need to stimulate, as a student, as a teacher, we need to stimulate informed policy that creates structural solution so that we can implement that kind of plan of action where we can balance that kind of development of nature-society interaction in the balance. So if you look back on this direction, that's why the global common effort that was happened after World Commission on Environment Development is that we have United Nations Convention on Environment Development 1992, and one of the important output of that UNCD is its document Agenda 21 that talks about how to bring sustainability, the nature-society interaction, how to bring that at local level, right? Then followed by Millennium Development Goals, right? That was 2000 to 2015 that have 8 goals. Here, in this Millennium Development, in Agenda 21, our major focus was on environmental perspective only. Then in Millennium Development Goal, our major focus was in environmental perspective, then human development, right? But there are some gap in that gap in interlinking of this environmental, means ecological perspective, and that human development perspective. So we have progressed so much in that time in Millennium Development Goal that was implemented in 2001 to 2015. So with that practice and with that achievement, progress so far made, and looking into learning some lesson, then we have Sustainable Development Goals that was adopted by the General Assembly on 25 September 2015, and it has 17 goals and 169 targets. And our plan of action is to achieve by 2030. So this plan of action for sustainable development goals is for 5 important P's. One is people, to ensure that all human beings can fulfill their potential in dignity, equality, and healthy environment. Right? Then planet. We need to protect the planet from degradation, and different activities, plan of action. Then prosperity is important. Then peace is important. We need to foster peace. And at last, partnership is important. So Vidya Vistar is also one. I will tag this one of the partnership goal, SDGs goals, which we are successfully implementing in this way. Can this one of the example, right? So if you look into these 17 goals, we'll find out goal 1 is no poverty, goal 2 is hunger. Look here, how it is trying to bring all together. You cannot look all these goals separately. These are interlinkages. When you are trying to understand the poverty is directly related to your hunger. It is related to your good health and well-being. It is related to your livelihood. It is related to quality education, then gender equality, then 6 is on clean and water and sanitation. Then we have goal number 7, sorry, affordable and clean energy. Goal number 8, decent work and economic growth. Then goal number 9, industry innovation in the infrastructure. And goal number 10 is on reducing inequality. So from the individual level to the global level, that is goal 17, that talks about partnership for the goals. So let us have a look into some of all the goals, what we can do to achieve all these goals. As we know, the 10% of the world population still live in extreme poverty level. When simple example is, if you look into, if you are a metropolitan city, you are staying in a very affluent lifestyle, and if your neighbors is in a slum area, what do you feel? Extreme poverty. Right? That needs to be imbalances, inequalities happen. So even if you look into urban, rural, that difference also, you will find out that the poverty rate in rural area is 17.2%. That is more than 3 times higher than in urban area. When we talk about the poverty, and we feel that we are giving a livelihood, we are giving a job, then they will be able to serve. That doesn't mean that. For example, farmers, they are producing food. We're getting, but they are that category of that society, they are extremely poverty. That's why, and a few years back, last few decades, that was in the beginning of the first decade, that we learn about in India especially, that farmer suicide, that were very common. So what we can do, if we have to achieve the goal number 1, one is we can help the government or create to create a job. You have to become you can, it's depending upon your situation, you can become a job creator, job giver, you can become. And private sector also, like we have FDI, number of that market is coming on. So in that way, we can give the job, right? So academic education community, we need to give more awareness. What is poverty? How to cope with all these things? What kind of alternative has to do? Science is we must try to find out. We should utilize the science to find out new approaches. We are eco-friendly, right? So in that way, each and every citizen has to play an important role. Coming to the goal number 2, when we talk about hunger doesn't mean that you are not getting food, and we are giving food and you are not hungry. It is not about the quantity of food we are giving. It is about the nutrition. You go to across India, across the world, you will find out malnutrition is happening. So we have to take care about the quality of food, nutritious food. That is what we can do as our responsibility is that, when, for example, when I talk about the issues of farmers, they are producing food for us, but still what happened? They're selling the product, but they are not getting enough food, nutritious food. They give you the nutritious food, their family member is not getting. On the other hand, the food they produce, because of the lack of infrastructure spoiled before reaching to the market. So as a informed citizen, what you can do, irrespective of where do you stay, you may be in rural area, you may be in urban area, you may be in some semi-urban area. Let us buy the food from our local market. Let us, that's what I'm saying, that when we talk about development, we're talking about the way of lifestyle that is, happen in the Western country. We are more focused on pizza and all these things. These are good food and all these things. So at least we can do something that is very nutritious, and again, that give food to the other community. So these are some of the things we can do. Then coming to the goal number 3, whatever happening, ending poverty and ending hunger, if you do that, is directly related to good health and well-being. If you do not have good health and well-being, if you're giving job to them also, if you're giving that livelihood to them also, it is of no use. It is very, we know it is evidence in front of us. Even if you look into, since our partner college, your partner college of Desbandhu is Patrick College, you see in Manipur, number of, each and every corner of our state, they do not have, that health infrastructure properly. That needs to be have. So what we can do to bring good health and well-being? We can make an informed decision. We can educate the people, right? First, we have to okay, we have to take care for ourselves, which kind of food which we have to take, which kind of lifestyle we have to follow. So that we have to start from ourselves, and we have to, share those benefits to our neighbors, to other members of the society. Right? Coming to quality education, education, brings everything. And that there are also that very that negatives is but we have to look from a constructive way. If you are giving, that's why we're talking about quality education. It's not about a degree. I'm having BA, BSc. It's about what kind of quality we need to have. It is not about literate, it is about education, right? So, this education is it enables us to what society, sorry, economic mobility, and if we are able to give education, quality education, it will be able to escape from the thefts of poverty. And it is very essential, especially when we talk about sustainable development goals. It is very essential to have a quality education, to give quality education, as we also know, it empowers people for healthy and sustainable lives. But my point is that when we have quality education, we'll be able to do something. It is, it is related to your goal number 1, 2, and 3, and 4. If you are not able to achieve goal number 1, then you will not be able to provide quality education to those children of those particular community who do not have livelihood. So these are interrelated. Then what we can do? Let us ask our government, especially in India, we are providing that thing. Very Beti Parao, then Beti Bachao, Beti Parao, then we have midday meal, we have right to education policy. We are implementing, and we have to be part of that. We have to increase those who do not know about that thing, especially in rural area, right? Those, and even in urban area also, your neighbors in slum area, I should not use the word slum area, but those who was underprivileged group in metro city also, we have to increase their children to send to schools, right? The increased private sector also. Do something, for example, Baiju and others, they are also doing, but in that, we can encourage them, okay, give free education. Particularly in this pandemic, we heard about that. A number of students who are from the underprivileged group, they are not having that mobile phone, smartphone, where they can, attend the classes. So we have to do something for them. urge the NGOs to do something. You can initiate. You can initiate yourself to any of your neighbors, right? Then comes to the point. Next is gender equality. Now, when we look into the composition of gender population, as we know that it represents that women and girls represent half of the world population. That means if we are not increasing, if they are not import, how of the population is that? We can say that, right? So we have to bring gender equality. If you look into the in this social structure also, in our social structure, irrespective of which country, women play an important role. So we have to bring as per, there should not be any difference between male and female and the third gender also, right? That is, so what you can do, if you are a woman, then you have to convince. For example, let us take an example in Indian system, especially in the northern India and other part. It is not happening. I can proudly say that it is not happening in our Northeast. You know, we are giving in this other part of the country, they are giving preference to the son for education, for any other opportunity. It's a mother, as a sister, as a woman, you must try to avoid to follow such kind of, mindset. Then if you are a man or a boy, let us encourage to send our daughter, to empower our daughter or our, female colleagues. Then fund, if you have enough money or if you are affordable to fund some girls' education or to provide something to the underprivileged group of the women to have a, livelihood, you can fund something. Then coming to clean water and sanitation, that is goal number 6. You know, water is access to water and hygiene is human right. Still, we are not able to access enough access. We know water is everywhere, but there is no single water which is fit for drinking purpose. That is real fact. Notice an instant, I want to give an example. My own home state. When I was a kid, that was 1980s, the stream that flows to my village, it used to become, it was, that water was available 40 years. It was a perennial. But now, each and every household in our state, they depend on water bottle for drinking purpose. I used to go in the field, we drink water and freely we drink water. We do not have any issues. So that's why here also you will see in this figure, I am not talking in this figure because figures you are able to read it. See, the point is we have water, but drinkable water, hygienic water, we are not able to get it. It is for what? Because of our activities. Because of our activities, it comes to us. So we need clean water and sanitation, right? So what we can do for that? As you know, this is common practice in Northeast, especially in the state of Manipur. Other state also. We have that local club system. We take care of all these things. But because of modernization, what I want to say here again is, because of this modernization, the mindset has changed. Now we said that, okay, government is there, let them do. Let us stop all these things. Whatever we did, we need to come back to what we used to do. That's what I'm saying, that because of development, this is the limitation we are having. Responsibility we used to do, morally, from the point of ethical moral point of view, and our tradition, our cultural practice, what we did is we take care of our surrounding for our oneself. But when it comes into the modern institutional mechanism, now we are saying that it is a responsibility of the government, right? So we need to come back to our own old system. Like here in Northern India, we have Pani Panchayat system, Ban Panchayat system. So that needs to be looked. Like here, World Water Day, every World Water Day, World Toilet Day, so that we can aware all these things, right? Then coming to the goal number 7, affordable and clean energy. You know, energy is the driver of life. whatever happening of sustainability, why this degradation environment is that the uncontrolled use of energy. But whatever happening needs to be limited. Limit kar sakta hai, we have to do. Because if we have a clean, we know that it is because of the high consumption of energy, uncontrolled use of energy, environmental degradation happening, sustainability issues happening. So we must try to bring to the eco-friendly use of energy. I will not go in detail as we know that, as I told you in the beginning, we know everything, we know it, we aware it, but we never concern about that. So what we can do as an employer, then what you can do, for example, university, they can come and pull car system, come under pull car system and a bus system for transport use. Right, in that way. In metro, we have Delhi metro system. Just kind of practice we need to follow. Investor, they have to invest more in sustainable energy services. Right, nowadays we are talking about hydrogen energy, electrical vehicles, and so on. Even at the individual level, what we are doing, okay, I have enough money. Why I need to care? I switch on my electric bulb. I switch on electrical appliance without understanding that one day it is going to be lost. We will not have enough energy to use. We are only thinking that I have income of 10,000, let to 1,000 goes on, and there is no difference. So let us avoid such kind of understanding. We try to work, if it is your office is nearby or your efficiency, if you are going to going for a shop in walkable distance, you go use work. Try to avoid to use that vehicle and so on. Second, then coming to goal number 8, I don't know, time is running very fast, so I will go in very fast, right? So that goal number 8 is decent work and economic growth. When we are talking about decent work, it is not about, as I repeatedly, reflecting that giving work, giving livelihood doesn't mean that you have everything. So we have to understand the decent work. For example, take an example of we have a number of issues across the world, racial, then in the workplace also, gender issues. So we must avoid, we need to give that kind of work environment where a person can work peacefully without any bias. So we need to have a decent work. If you have peace and you have a decent work, then there will be positive economic growth, right? So what we can do, that's why the process what we can follow is a decent job we need to give. And government is working in India, we are also working, and local authorities, we have to understand each and every system, we have to understand this thing. Giving job doesn't mean that you are giving this much livelihood. We have to understand their security, their health, everything, right? Then only productive work, you will have a productive output, right? Then only we can maintain the system. Goal number 9 is talking about industry, innovation, and infrastructure. That's the title itself says that industry. That's why we learned that industrialization, in the process of industrialization, the environmental degradation happened. Because of that, issues of sustainability comes. So now, when we are developing industry, then when we are looking towards innovation and infrastructure development, we have to take care about all those issues, what has happened. So we need to look towards the direction of sustainability approach, right? Then reducing inequality. One is, gender equality. Here, goal number 10 is about inequality, right? The problem is that development has some benefit and limitation. In one side, if you look into the limitation, it is because of development, economic development, that brings your issues of inequality in terms of income, in terms of the social disharmony because of the unplanned growth. So we have to look a better way how to reduce this inequality, irrespective of caste, speed, sex, income, etc. Even in global context, if you look into, as I told you, the issues we are discussing today of every goals, you just look from a micro, mini, micro level to the global level. We have North-South conflict, we have developing conflict, and then so on, right? So that is also reflected over here, right? And coming to sustainable cities and community region, where, when we look into cities plays an important role in bringing economic sustainability of a nation. If you look into the human civilization, how civilization was brought, you will see it is the cities. Even today, 60% of global GDP is coming from these cities. Mumbai, there's a powerhouse of economy of India. Right? It's still, on other hand, it has that limitation in the sense that because of that also carbon, that footprint, high carbon footprint means environmental degradation. So when we are developing or redeveloping cities, we need to look from a sustainable point of view, right? So we have to take care. That's why in India, we have, smart city project. So in that way, we'll be able to bring. So each and every, step of the government, that initiative, we have to be take for, and we have to understand that that some new initiative, innovative initiative can also be taken by different organizations, right? Resident Welfare Association and your community organization. This goal number 12, this is highly important. It is because of the way of consumption and production that has happened during the last 2-3 decades that brings the issues of sustainability. So we have to look towards a sustainable or responsible consumption and production. As I told you, we understand, we never care. So in that way, what we can do, two main ways to help or to get to achieve this goal is reducing your waste. How we have to reduce? Wastage of food should be avoided, right? Then you have to be thoughtful about when buying something. That's why we have the concept of nowadays we are talking about eco-friendly product. All these are the approaches we can follow. We need to not only aware, we have to implement. We have to come into the action. Then only we'll be able to do something as an individual level to achieve SDGs by 2030. Climate action. Climate change is happening. How it was happened. So that's why to fight with climate change, we need to decrease our carbon footprint. So each and every day, from morning to evening, night, whenever we do something, we must try to reduce our carbon footprint. Beginning from taking the food, why we need to have coffee, so much coffee. I will not go in detail. Coffee, in the production process of coffee, as an end product, and a lot of water takes place. And in that way, now what I can say is to reduce that carbon footprint, to fight climate action, one of the best approaches, let us try to depend on our local product. That is one thing. Then life below water. Each and every organism play an important role. Don't think that they are living in the aquatic ecosystem. They do not contribute anything except giving food. No, they have ecosystem integrity is there. Every component, every organism is playing their important role. So we must try to protect. That's why coming to the question of ethical and moral value. Even, the farmers, the fishermen, they follow our own traditional norms. Which kind of fish has to be catch in that which season? Which kind of fish has not to be catch in that breeding season? So this kind needs to be, reintroduced or more aware to come into the action. So small changes of your small changes bring a big difference. Then coming into life on land, as I told you, it is also very much relevant to life on water also. Each and every organism, plants and animals, they play an important role. So whenever we consume something, we must try to understand that what kind of impact is given to our surrounding environment. So recycling is also, for example, in this also, I want to give an example which is very common, that in our northeastern India, that we have household manuring system. Like that can also revisit again. We can reintroduce that again. That household, that recycling, that will give a manure also, and that can resolve the issues of that managing the waste material. So these are some of the things. Then, as whatever we're talking about, coming development, bringing sustainability, a person who do not have peace, then if there is no peace, nothing is possible, right? So the point is that peace is required to bring sustainable development. Sustainable development is required to bring peace, justice, and a strong institution. So these are interrelated. So we need to have a harmonious relation with the different community and different, even whatever we are planning to achieve or something to do, we have to look the principle of peace, justice, and a strong institution. I can say that when we talk about all this modern the principle, it is already in our tradition and culture. Only the point is that we need to revisit and re-implement in action or re-follow the things. That is not happening, right? Goal 17, that is about whatever we're talking about the last 16 goals. And you cannot look those 16 goals as a different entirety from each goal. They are interrelated, right? So there is a partnership. Say an example, so when we talk about protecting the life on water, life on land, can be, it is related. Bangladesh and India need proper coordination to have a good quality of water, that because the rivers, we know that rivers has no boundary, right? In the same way, in urban rural context also, to control the pollution, right, we need a partnership. So that's why partnership is very much important. We need to bring partnership of different institution, organization at different level, coming from your local association, resident welfare association, to the state level, then from each and that every state needs to coordinate and that need to have a partnership with their neighbor state. Then at the country level, then different neighboring countries, we need to have partners. That is one of the reasons why we are bringing MDGs to SDG, because MDGs, we are more focused on developing countries, but in that local agenda 21, we are more focused on what? We are more focused on underdeveloped countries, right? So if, as I told you, as we know that these sustainable development goals, that is bringing the goals, if you look into this goal from the lens of sustainability, you will see it covers everything from individual to the that planetary level, right? So to look into that, it has 231 unique indicators. 116 targets is there, and to look into that, 247 targets of that 231 unique indicators, and 12 indicator repeats under 2 or 3 different targets. These are the things. And if you look into the goal, what we discuss or what we are trying to understand is it can look into 4 basic principles. One is integrated. Goal number 1 from goal number 1 to 17. you will see integration. You cannot look any of the goal stand alone, isolated. See hunger and poverty. That if you are hunger, you do not have livelihood, you cannot send your student to the school. You cannot have nutritious food. Universality. It talks about, as I told you, in MDG we talk about our major focus was on developing country, and developed country was compulsion to give money, to fund the money to developing and underdeveloped country. But here responsibility lies to all the nations, which was, signatories about in the beginning, it was 193 countries. Inclusiveness. If you look into goals, inclusiveness, each and every community, each and every institution, they have to play an important role. Right. At last, one of the important principles is no one left behind. If you look into our present government of India's that approach, sabke saath, sabke vikas, sabke viswas. That is what sustainable development goals. And our India's tradition, culture, we are following since time immemorial, but in between we are missing all those things. So the point is that in conclusion, what I want to say is the issues of sustainability, issues of sustainable development goals is not a new term. We know everything, we practice every day, but we never care about it. So this plan of action, sustainable development goals, to make it action, we have to not only have to aware, we have to come into the action. With this, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kuman, for such an enlightening lecture on sustainable development. Now the house is open for the questions. It is request to all the participants to post their questions only in the chat box so that they can be taken now. There are few questions in the chat box. Dr. Kuman, I just scroll down the chat box. There's a question from Mr. Jatin Bhardwaj. Do the education qualities enough to do that in the school we generally study math, science, SST, and some of the moral Hindi morals education, but actual moral education is still missing, which will going to tell us about all the things about the environment and all. So how the education quality
Yeah. I'm coming one by one. I'm taking one by one, Dr. Bansika. See, Jatin, in this point, what I want to say is that, when you talk about moral education, no, it is not only about that education in formal that institution. It is about what we practice every day. We already follow it, right? So, math, science, social studies, and so on, we are teaching. This is our basic. The purpose of teaching or learning math, science is to understand the basics of what kind of what I can say that the basics of the social interaction and how to implement in a wiseful way. But when it comes to moral education, it is already there. When you, for example, look into any of the subject, the point is how you have to interpret. In science also, if you look into science, any principle, it's talk about moral education, right? Life science, biology, what I was talking about, that integrity of the environment, integrity, relation of aquatic ecosystem different way. It is about moral education, right? In the same way, every discipline, what, for example, civics, economics, what it talks about, right? So that is on one side, but when you talk about moral education, it's not about in the formal education, it is about what we have to follow. We're following in our home, right? Then second question, Purnaji, after how does sustainable development assist environment conservation? See, it is one of the pillars. we are trying to conserve the environment. It is about sustainable development. It is taken care of. It is taking care of one pillars of sustainability. As I told you, the dimension, 3 basic dimension of or pillars of sustainable development is that environment, society, and economy. So when you conserve the environment, you are strengthening or that particular pillar. When you strengthen that, then sustainable is already will happen. Right. Then answer is there a difference between protecting the environment and preserving the environment? It's similar. It is more or less same. Protection nowadays, this is the play of that words, right? You can interpret in your own way, right? Protecting, one sense we can say we are protecting the environment which was not degraded, which is still in the none. In this earth, it is very difficult to find out a piece of land which is not disturbed by the human species. Isliye we cannot say that preserving, protecting, there is difference, right? Which consider strong. So इसमें ज़्यादा आप technical चीज़ जाने का ज़रूरत नहीं है, protecting, preserving, but our point is we have to bring a sustainable lifestyle, right? Yeah, sustainable could stand.
There is a question from Dr. Madhu Rani. What are the main challenges for incorporating sustainability in education system at the secondary school level? In spite of the government policies like midday meal and Beti Bachao, we are unable to encourage much increase in the student enrollment there.
Issues. That's why we need to talk about that issues of equality, right? That gender sensitization, that is more important. In that case, I will focus more on the role needs to be played by the female member. You know, हमारे हिंदुस्तान में हम क्या होता है, जितना वुमेन के इश्यूज आता है, पहले हमारा क्या कहते हैं, वुमेन से शुरू हो जाता है, ठीक है? So when you have a good mother, you will be able to convince your son, your daughter. This is not happening. So जितना बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ करो, अगर आप आपकी बेटी को, that's why I told you that is not happening in my home state. हम अपने बेटी को, there is no difference between son and daughter. Here in some part of India, what I have seen, my extensive visit, last 2 decades, I am extensively visiting all this northern India. वो क्या होता है? अच्छा, अरे यार बेटी तो शादी के बाद किसी पास, but no. Okay, now it is not happening. My point is that in some rural area it is happening. So yes, is हम as a, उसमें भी मैंने मेरा talk में I focus that if you are woman, you should play an important role. ये important ये है. अगर if you are ready to send your daughters to the school, irrespective of in which community you belong, irrespective of which category of your income, भेज दो. अरे यार बेटी भी भेजना है, बेटा भी भेजना है, करे भेज दो. इसमें बेटी और बेटा के अंदर में brother and son का relation strengthen हो जाएगा. वो नहीं हो रहा है. This is not my word. Social जो हम दिख रहा है वही कह रहा हूँ, ठीक है? Even बेटा का भी whatever sons की issues है, is also, I am not throwing stone to the women only, right? Father also play an important role. Father has also 2 employment, but the point is that father is more have more attachment with the daughter, right? So होता है, but because of social structure, हमारा जो social है, patriarchy norm है, needs to be. But I want to say, from frankly बता रहा हूँ, notice में नहीं होता है, but why it is happening in other part of country? ये चीज में क्या? So इसमें ये social का आपकी social norm से कुछ issues है, इसको change करना पड़ेगा.
Another question from Dr. Bela Bhatia. What is the role of universities and institutions for implementation of sustainable development?
बेला मैडम, इसमें 2 पर्सपेक्टिव में आपको बता देता हूँ. First is, to follow sustainable action, right? Means practice the sustainability, other is giving sustainability education. When we talk about practice of sustainability, let us take a simple example. When you develop infrastructure, right, we must try to simple example, I want to say that the lighting stack example in your college, how many of your that lighting system have LED bulbs? Just start from there. That is practice. Second, education, giving education. Aapki in research, try to have such kind of research. That is related to sustainability or bringing sustainability or focus sustainability. That is one research point. And lower, there's such kind of talk that need to be more focused. We need to give aware. That's I told them, including ourselves. We aware, but we do not practice. So ourselves needs to be, याद दिलाना पड़ेगा. We have to. This is two perspectives. Do the idea of ending up the life of vehicle after?
Yes, sir. So, Dr. Parul Singh question, do the idea of ending up the life of the vehicle after 10 to 15 years is a good idea for sustainable development?
This is a very, yeah, see, every product has their lifespan. So it's a life cycle assessment. If you look into LCA, life cycle assessment, when you have 10 to 15 years, this life cycle, this shows that it is sustainable. That is, so when you have 10 to 15 years, then that product needs to be done properly or reuse that. Then in that way, recycle, reuse concept has to be followed, right? So product is like human being. Also, we IT years is, if you become ITs, we used to say that our life has becoming end. So in that way, every product has their life cycle. So we have to track that.
So Dr. Gajendra Singh want to ask a question. How a common man can contribute to the sustainable development?
Start from your day-to-day activities. Simple example. I'm giving one example. The single-use plastic. Don't follow single-use plastic. I'm talking about single-use plastic. But when I go to the restaurant, we are sipping that cold drink by using single-use plastic, right? When you are traveling, you buy Bisleri bottle. Bring your own bottle. So this is how we can practice, right?
So another question from Neena Agarwal. So how to generate widespread knowledge about the SDG, since it is already much complex. Also, it is huge challenge to incorporate into the mentality of our traditional policy maker. So kindly share your views regarding this idea.
That's why I started with one of the quote of Kofi Annan, right? Mr. Kofi Annan, say here, as I know, that's very complex, and to convince that policymaker planners also a very difficult task. With the grace of God, and as I know, I'm happy to share that I work with some of the policymaker from the last, from academic point of view, 10 to 15 years. Those professors who involve in policy decision making, they're also very difficult to convince this bureaucrat and policymaker. So if I want to share this experience, what we can do is that that exactly I'm one of person who is in the process of already implement process. The sustainable share for sustainable development example there. IGNOU it was started 2007 under the chairmanship of Professor M.S. Swaminathan. Our objective is to give education to these policymakers and planners. So in that way we can do. This is very difficult, as we know. That's why we are having a number of programs. Like, for example, I'm coordinating some program, postgraduate diploma in sustainability science. But this is the objective there. And one of the my experience is that in this field, recently we have some course in sustainability science in MOOCs. In that, what I learned, some of the policymaker and the planners is taking this course. And the PGDSS also, some of the policymakers, planner at state levels, they are taking and they are implementing. So we are going towards a constructive way. So we need not to worry. This is my view. One day we'll achieve it. We all will be aware about it. Okay.
Yes, sir. Another question from Jatin Bhardwaj. Sir, if we cut the plants from the forest for the construction purpose and we plant a new trees at that place, will it be considered as sustainable development? If yes, then what about the ecosystem of that forest?
See, that is the point. That is called compensatory afforestation, right? Even हमारा दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में देखो जब बना रहे थे तो बाबू सर करके जो हमारा that medicinal plant का garden थे when we developed, then उसको relocate किया था, right? But the point here, that's why we are talking about infrastructure development में we have to think कौन सा direction में हम रास्ता infrastructure development करना है नहीं करना है. Infrastructure development doesn't mean that you are talking about cutting the plant. Doesn't mean that एक अच्छे forest की बीच में जाओ, नहीं आप बगल पे जाओ. See, we cannot say that everything has to be stopped. At least we can limit the impact, right? That's why the construction सब करते हैं आप. In case of this forest, आपको forest के बड़े forest के एक forest की ये बीच में जाना नहीं, बगल से जाना पड़ेगा. Then only we can do.
So another question from Dr. Rubina. There is a drive of a palm plantation going on in some of the northeastern state right now. How sustainable do you think it is for this biodiverse belt of the country? And can you please comment on the efficacy of EIA in India, considering it is the government that is driving the plantation?
Yes, Rubina. Yeah, Manipur mein it is going to happen in Manipur. You know, I'm shocked to hear that they are not understanding. Even when they implement not only this, when our government is implementing that groundwater project, I wrote to the minister also. Please don't use so much hand pump groundwater for irrigation, right? So that 12-15 years back, when I traveled to that remote area of Chursanpur, they were trying to, I heard that they also looking towards coffee plantation. So this is not good idea. So I don't know, kaisa karna hai, that is also big challenges in front of us. They are not looking into the economic, that is the important ecological economic valuation of biodiversity, economic valuation of social diversity. वो नहीं समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. This EIA, diluting so much. As an academic, what I can say, it is diluting so much. I don't like to come into this the political problem, but the point is, EIA so much diluted ho gaya hai. So my point is that government of India also should understand uniqueness of this particular the biodiversity hotspot of India. One day, because of if we implement coffee plantation, if we implement palm cultivation in this Northeast India, then it will be a ecological disaster. We cannot be able to control it. Even air pollution of in valley of in the state of Manipur, if we are not properly plan our city plan, city also, it will get a big disaster. Try to understand that Los Angeles fogs, all this is going to happen if you are not properly planned. That is.
So another question from Sinale Kaiser. Do you really appreciate the inclusiveness being stated in your lecture as being laid down regarding the NEI, especially regarding our present education?
Present education, yeah. Yes, no distance in the NEI means Northeast India, right? That is important. That's why we are talking about we are talking about, I want to give one simple example. When we talk about shifting cultivation, right? The modern scientists, they look something cultivation is a negative to the environment, negative impact. But if you really look into that, that doesn't have much negative impact. You know, if you talk, if you meet chance, I was closely work with Professor P.S. Ramakrishnan, who work on this sifting cultivation. So how this sifting cultivation has to be blended or integrated with modern development, the technology development, we never think about that. Right. In that way, inclusiveness is very much important. That is why in northern India, when we come to northern India, other part of India, we're talking about racial discrimination. The reason is we did not have that inclusive education. And the people in other part of India, they were not well aware about tradition and culture. Though students from Northeast, I'm well aware. Before I left my home state, I know about at least up to some limitations. We are well about other states, but their culture, what they eat, but that is not happening in opposite direction. So it is a good step.
So another question from Dr. S.M. Jha. In Manarega, most of the schemes are gender biased. For example, digging of land and other works. Women do not feel comfortable with the work. How will this male-dominated mindset in our national schemes will change?
If I look into data, is there's your Vidya Vistar scheme give me another chance to give lecture? I would love to give lecture on India's report card on SDG, right? If you look into that report, that is not reflected. And if in that, if we have that session, it will be very interesting. The approach India follow, what kind of scheme, the role played by Manirega, right? वो चीज बहुत है, but जो आपने ये बताया ये तो report में reflect नहीं करते हैं. Okay.
Another question from Gungun Gar. China is making artificial sun and moon. Comment on that, and what do you think, how much it will affect our planet? Sir, वो actually मुझे direct message किया है.
That is what. Tell me here.
So China is making artificial sun and moon. Comment on that, and what do you think, how much it will affect our planet?
Luckily, I read that analysis yesterday, right? So, इसके impact तो बहुत आएगा. That is going to be, even they are going to make another moon, right? Because of that, gravity will have an issue. So, वो तो purely physics law को है. But if you look into general concept of science, if you follow that, just imagine if you bring one, that kind of thing. क्या ग्रेविटेशनल प्रॉब्लम आएगा, ये तो होता ही है.
Sir, there is a question from Mr. Anil Kushwaha. How we can improve the SDG in incoming year, and what is the role of Indian citizen?
That's I already reflected. See, incoming year में India में बहुत we are going progressing very well. What I can say, the role played by Manirega and every full aspect. That's why if you're giving a chance, I will be able to explain in this context, because we are properly doing. Unfortunately, in international politics, we are not able to play. We are not able to, reflect all those things. And on the other hand, population is so much. That is one of. But despite that difficulties, we are successfully implementing a number of policies and programs. That is the big achievement. Look into education. Before SDGs come, we have midday meal, we have everything, Beti Bachao, a number of things. So, as a teacher, if you are a teacher, you do something. We can do whatever. Right. In that way, as a student also.
So there's one question from my side also. So the e-bikes and the e-vehicles which the government is promoting nowadays, is it a good idea in terms of the environment conservation, because they are also requiring the electric energy which is being generated from the thermal power plants only. So whether they are good idea for sustaining the environment, or we really want to have a idea about that.
There is no conclusion. Luckily, coincidentally, one of my PGDS student and me, we are going to we have already submitted, means approved, that's accepted हो गया Springer में, chapter book chapter में e-vehicle. ठीक है? There is no conclusion, right? So example, my simple example, I'm giving one simple example. When we talk about solar panel, right? This has also limitation, where we have to throw the silicone. The same way e-vehicle also batteries, where you have to the one is how to do byproduct, end product, how to throw it proper manner. The point you are rightfully managed it. If you are using that for electrical production, you are using another that's that product who is more polluted. So there is no, but still it is not in a conclusive way we can work on.
I think there are no more questions.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your
Thank you very much.
for patiently answering all the questions. Now I hand over the e-mic to Dr. Madhu for closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vanshika. Dr. Kuman, we would definitely love to have you in for another brainstorming session. And soon we will work out. I'm assuring you this from behalf of my this team, V2S team from Deshbandhu College. We will definitely plan some event soon in the future. And now let's move on. And before that, I would like to request all the participants to fill a feedback form. Filling the feedback form will generate a e-participation certificate. And if you do not receive the certificate in few hours, kindly reach us on the email ID which is given on the poster. So let's move further. We are coming to the end of this session, and it is a great privilege for me to provide some closing remarks. And first and foremost, I would like to thank our distinguished speaker today, Dr. Y.S. Kuman, for not only sparing his invaluable time for us to grace this occasion, but also enlightening us with captivating talk on the subject. Dr. Kuman's talk developed our understanding of sustainable development goals and our responsibilities towards achieving these goals. Thank you for clearing our concepts and enhancing our understanding about these aspects, sir. Indeed, you have put your best efforts to make this event unforgettable. We are highly obliged. Thank you, sir. We would like to extend our gratitude to the guiding force behind organizing such events, our patron, our principal, Professor Rajiv Agrawal, sir, for leading and inspiring us in working towards the goal of conducting such fruitful events. We thank him from the heart, from the bottom of our heart, and for his support all the time. We express our humble thanks to the team leader of our fellow team also from the Pettigrew College, respected principal, Shri Sarachandra sir. Our deepest regards and heartfelt thanks goes to our respected vice principal, sir, Professor Kamal Kumar Gupta, for his motivation and encouragement always. We would like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude to IQAC coordinator of Deshbandhu College, Dr. Aditya Saxena, sir. My heart goes out to thank our students and faculty participants from different colleges, from different departments and different institutes for participating and attending the webinar with such enthusiasm. Without your kind presence, we would not have accomplished what we have dreamt for. Above and beyond, let's not forget the backbone of such events, the team behind the curtains. The V2S team at Deshbandhu College and Pettigrew College, their hard work and diligence at every step made this webinar possible. We also thank our technical team from Deshbandhu College for a smooth execution of this event. I also express my gratitude to our non-teaching staff for helping in many ways. I sincerely apologize if I have missed out on someone. Thank you again, all of you. Now coming to the end of the event, we are looking forward for the participation of all the participants in all the forthcoming events under the flagship of Vidya Vistar scheme. I would request all the participants to switch on their cameras and will request the technical team to take some capture some moments so that we can cherish the memories forever.
Thank you, the entire team again. Thank you very much. And I wish all the best to the team in the future events. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. And I will again request the participants to fill the feedback form. And we are greatly honored with your presence, everyone. We wish you all the happiness and health, and namaste to all. I would request the host to end the meeting now.